At this time, I'd like to introduce our first speaker. Hajin Mainda has just completed his first year of the Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance. He joined Governor Lee's cabinet after an outstanding career as community leader in Chattanooga. He came from the Electric Power Board in Chattanooga, where he was Vice President for Community Development. Please help me welcome Commissioner Mainda.
Thank you for having me. As introduced, Hajin Mainda, Commissioner, Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance. Happy to be with you all today. I believe my first speaking engagement a year on the job, a year ago, when I started, was actually here in Chattanooga, your annual meeting in Chattanooga. Almost exactly a year ago. It's amazing what the difference is, because last year, I think it was close to 300 in a room. It was your breakfast meeting, and we could all shake hands and interact. And a year later, this is where we are. But regardless, happy to have the opportunity to engage in this unique environment. I'll go back to March the 2nd. March the 2nd, tornadoes came through Davidson County, Putnam County, and Wilson County. We'll never forget that day. First phone call I got was actually early morning from my senior leadership, Alex and Rachel, and started talking about what the heck are we going to do. We mobilized the staff and went and visited for 2 days, 2 straight days, visited all the affected counties with our partners at FEMA, Senator Blackburn's office, and even with the governor, as you saw in the video. We'll never forget, a couple days later, we were back in the office from visiting the affected areas, and the first COVID test was confirmed in our state. That was March the 5th. So we supported the governor's initiative with responding to testing and providing testing to every Tennessean by issuing guidance to insurance companies to cover a COVID test and any copay that is associated with that COVID test. In addition to that, of course, there were several other bulletins, but a few that come to mind with COVID response was grace periods, making sure that if I'm a company and or I'm an employee, that insurance companies, be it health, life, and PNC, give their policyholders flexibility. So that the goal here was to avoid lapse of coverage during these really challenging and unprecedented times. Those are several things in addition to several bulletins that we supported the governor's initiative through COVID response, and that is still ongoing. From an insurance perspective, you all are stakeholders. You all here represent the consumers, 6.8 million Tennesseans. And so I want to make sure that we have an open line of communication. I want to make sure that we build trust and credibility. We are not always going to agree, and that is totally fine. But when we disagree, because of that trust and credibility that's been built, we can work through things together that hopefully will benefit consumers at the end of the day. I will say, really appreciate Jim and his team. We've always had a great relationship, open line of communication, and hope that continues. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having me.
Our next speaker is going to come to us via video message. He is Mike McBride, president of Mason McBride, Inc. in Troy, Michigan. He currently serves as an at-large member on the Big I National Board of Directors and Executive Committee, and we're excited to hear from Mike.
It's been an interesting year for all of us, whether we are as individuals, as business owners, or as independent agents. Your Big I Association pivoted early this year and adapted as well as they could, and we think they did a great job doing it. The team did an outstanding job pivoting and shifting gears to help all of us navigate through a challenging year, to say the least. On the legislative front, obviously COVID was front and center. Your team was on the Hill addressing any COVID-related matters, in addition to a host of other things that were going on. Please know that your Big I team has a seat at the table, is involved, and is the go-to voice for independent insurance agents around the country. Thanks again for allowing me to spend some time with you, even if it was virtual. I hope that we'll be able to do this in real time in the not too distant future. Thanks again.
This summer, the nominating committee, led by our past presidents, met and submitted a slate of officers and directors for terms beginning January 1st, 2020. The committee took into account the challenges of this year and decided to recommend the Big I plan of action, which includes rolling the members of the executive committee for an additional year of service. As I read the names, please stand and remain standing. Bob McIntyre, President, McIntyre & Associates, Cleveland, Tennessee. President-elect and Vice President, Region 1, Norfleet Anthony III, S.N. Anthony Ripley. Vice President, Region 2, Matt Swallows, Swallows Insurance, Cookeville. Vice President, Region 3, Kim Clevenger, the Assurance Center, Knoxville. Directors to be elected for a 3-year term are Region 1 Director, Eric Collinson, Kimmons Wilson Insurance, Memphis. Region 2 Director, Paul Still, Martin Zerfoss, Nashville. Region 3 Director, Bill Oldham III, Oldham & Cox, Knoxville. Directors to be elected for a 1-year term include our Secretary-Treasurer, John McInturf III, McInturf Milligan Brooks, Greenville. And our Young Agent Director, Derek Wright, Graham and Cook, Knoxville. Yeah, he was on up to the next page. At-large Director, Keith Phelps, Jameson Fisher, Covington. I'll now entertain a motion to accept these recommendations and nominations as submitted by the nominating committee.
Motion to accept.
Motion made by Chris Allison, second by Scott Ferguson. Without objection, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries.
Do you solemnly swear that you will uphold the bylaws of the Insurors of Tennessee, that you will strive to accomplish the objectives of your association, and encourage all members to abide by the Code of Ethics? Will you faithfully perform the duties of your office to the best of your ability? Will you strive to see that these roles flourish to the benefit of the insuring public? If so, please say, I do.
I do.
You may now lower your right hand, and I hereby install you as the officers and directors of the Independent Insurance Agents of Tennessee with your term of office commencing January 1st, 2021. My congratulations to all of you.
One of the perks of this job is getting to give out some awards at the end of this meeting. The first award is the Jim Alexander Award. It's presented in honor of a former Insurors Executive Director, Jim Alexander, and his example of excellence for our association. This year's recipient has been an unrelenting advocate for the Insurors of Tennessee for many years, been very involved in his role on our nominating committee, and in the past year he also gave us his time to serve as on the governance committee and help us evaluate our bylaws. A major advocate for this industry and his community, we are lucky to have him as a past president and an Insurors member. Please join me in congratulating our 2020 Jim Alexander Award winner, Tom Strait of Strait Insurance. The next award represents the importance of the future of this association. Many members of the Insurors first became involved through their association with the young agents. To recognize the vital importance of their active participation in association activities, the Arch E. Northington Young Agent of the Year Award is given annually in honor of the former state national director and past president, Arch Northington. This year's Young Insurer of the Year has been very active. A member of this association has been involved in the young agents since his first day in the business. He's consistently stepped up to help recruit members, be involved in government relations, and to assist in local charity work. Last year, he stepped into Young Agent Director role in the middle of the year and continued to do an outstanding job through this year. It gives me great pleasure to recognize our 2020 Young Insurer of the Year, Cy Young, of Young Hughes Insurance and Haven Insurance Partners. I think Si's on fall break. One of the most important things our association does for our members is to protect our interests on Capitol Hill. InsurePAC Tennessee supports candidates and members of the Tennessee General Assembly who believe in a competitive insurance climate. Our government affairs team advocates for the independent agents in Tennessee, being all the more effective because of your support to InsurePAC TN. In 2018, we decided to make this an annual award and name it after our former CEO, Chuck Biddick. It's now called the Charles T. Biddick Political Action Award. The winner of this year's award represents an agency that has consistently and actively supported us through their efforts and involvement. They're an excellent representation of the difference members can make with their support. The members of this agency regularly support both state and the national PACs. They attend legislative events, and their agency principal serves on our Government Relations Committee. Please join me in congratulating Johnny Griffin of Griffin Insurance. Get one more, Daniel. Take your thing. He took his thing. Yeah, no, I'm not touching it here.
I'm honored to get anything related to Chuck Biddick. Chuck, when I got involved in the business, Chuck was one of the first people I met. Contributed a lot to what little I know about insurance today.
And did us
Thank
all.
you, Bob.
You got it. Thank you, Johnny. I now have the honor of presenting a presidential citation. This year, my presidential citation goes to an industry veteran who, along with his company, have been strong supporters of the agents across this state. This individual has been a great partner for the association and for our industry, a longtime advocate for our Young Agents program. He and his company have been sponsors for many years, and he has worked on with numerous members across this state, most of us in the room probably. I would like to recognize and thank Scott Denny of Arlington Road for his continued work for us as the Insurors of Tennessee. This final award is the most prestigious, and it's a very difficult one to decide on, especially this year. A lot of good candidates to be chosen, but only one can be selected. With the award of the Insurer of the Year comes the responsibility of living up to the tradition of excellence established by previous award recipients. This year's Insurer of the Year award goes to an agent who, along with his agency, has been a longtime member and supporter of this association and advocate for this industry. This member has been active with the Insurers of Tri-Cities and then became a board member on the state level. Cute. He frequently helps the association work on a number of issues. He's been active and participates in conferences, conventions, has volunteered numerous times for committees and task forces. He is passionate about his community as well as the industry, which is evident when he stepped into this role last year. After already serving as past president, an avid fisherman involved for life, is also active in many organizations in his local community and way outkicked his coverage when he married Tanya. They have two beautiful daughters, Laura and Lindsay. We're lucky to call this man a member. I'm proud to call him a friend. Our 2020 Insurer of the Year, John McInturf. John is at Hilton Head right now with his toes in the sand, or he would be here with us, so he sends his love.
I want to thank you all for being here. Really appreciate all the help and support this year for everything you've done. Next year, we're hoping our events will be in person again like this one, but with more of our folks. And we'll be in Florence, Alabama, October 16th through 19th. Really thank you all for joining us and appreciate your help for the association.
Thank you all.